Thank you for joining us for Public Safety Echo. The Public Safety Echo project is the world's first of its kind effort to use the Echo model to address safety issues by bringing residents, workers, and businesses together in an online social and professional space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. In weekly sessions, Public Safety Echo teaches skills, educates partners in different aspects of a healthy community, and empowers community members.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Downtown Public Safety Echo. I, of course, am your coordinator, Daryl DeLoach, and this is our last Echo of the year. We made it through the whole year. Oh my, what a year, man. I hope everybody is enjoying the weather and the holidays. Of course, I have a few little things, office stuff to get through here. But when you're joining us, please turn on your camera. Echo is all about all teach, all learn, and we hope that you plan to participate fully. Please take a minute to type your name and your organization and email into the chat, especially if you don't have a camera or a mic. And be sure your mic is muted until you're ready to talk. The Downtown Public Safety Echo's goal is to increase safety by bringing residents, workers, visitors, and businesses together in an online social space to share skills, increase knowledge, and solve problems. Any views expressed by police officers or participating city officials are not meant to give legal advice and only meant to educate and provide insight into the discussion. Today's presentation, we're going to be talking about immigrant safety as well as services and rights. I have my guest Patricia Pinzón Sánchez here. I tried to get my pronunciation right there.
You did.
And we also have Leonado Castañeda from Workforce Solutions, who's on his way. So I'm sort of stalling a little bit today because I have other people that will be joining us late, I believe. So thank you if you made it on. The first thing I sort of want to just sort of bring up is, again, since this is the last session for the year, we will be moving to a new platform, the new iEcho platform. I'm sure I've sent out invitations for everybody. In fact, here real quick, I will share with you, this is the website. If you go to the link, you'll be able to see down at the bottom, there's a little registration now link. If you click on that, if you want to receive any of the notifications, announcements, have access to the materials after our sessions, you will need to be registered. So please, please, please register. I'll probably be bugging everybody via email and maybe even a few people a little more, like I'll call you or bug you at your office or whatever it takes just to make sure that I have participation in the new year. Or you can contact me at my email. That's always another way. I'd be happy to help you and walk you through the whole process. I wanted to see who's new on our I see people that I don't recognize. I do see Beatrice and Erica. Those are some new names. If you want to take a moment to introduce yourself, go right ahead. And in the meantime, go ahead, Beatrice.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Beatriz Valencia. I oversee the Office of Immigrant and Refugee Affairs here at the City of Albuquerque. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I'm glad you could join us. Erica, you're a new name. Do you want to say hello?
Hi, sorry I don't have a camera today. My name's Erica Richards. I'm with UNM and I'm working on some projects downtown. So I was very interested in seeing what you all were talking about.
Thank you, thank you. And I see my friend Laura, Cecilia, Catherine, a few regular faces. Glad you were able to join us. I am waiting for, like I said, another guest as well as a commander to join us online. But I wanted to go ahead and move into some announcements. I don't have too many, but I do know that this weekend they are going to have the rail yard market open for some gift buying. So there'll be a lot of local vendors there. I know some people making some cool art and stuff there. So if you need to do any holiday shopping, you might want to drop by the Rail Yards Market over the weekend. I believe Saturday and Sunday we'll be having, it'll be opened and all the goodies will be there. Is there anyone that is on the call today that has anything to announce? Laura or anyone else? I don't see ACS or anybody. No, you're shaking your head. All right. Well, I don't want to stall too much longer. I see Betty Lou has joined us, and we're just, I know that the commander has some other obligations that he's dealing with right now, and we'll hop on the call shortly. But in the meantime, Patricia, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Daryl. I'm very thankful for your invitation today. My name is Patricia Pinzón. I'm the Consul of Mexico here in Albuquerque. Our jurisdiction includes 24 counties in New Mexico, 38 counties in Northwest Texas, and we provide assistance to Mexican nationals and to non-Mexican nationals wanting to connect somehow with Mexico.
Okay. Well, and we'll get into more of the details there shortly. I do have a few people in the audience there. I don't know if you guys want to say hey or introduce yourselves. You're regulars too.
Yeah, I'm Jerry Bowe. I live in the historic district downtown. I'm a retired transit analyst, but I'm also on the board of the Prostate Cancer Support Association of New Mexico, and now also treasurer.
Thank you. Always good to have you, Jerry.
Hi, Daryl. I'm Van. I live in the Noblesville area, work in the downtown area, and just kind of one quick announcement I'll plug is the Caritingi Hospital Foundation is doing their annual Festival of Trees at the Sawmill Market in Old Town, and so I'd encourage everybody to go visit that and consider supporting Caritingi Hospital here in Albuquerque.
So the Festival of Trees, are they selling Christmas trees there? Or?
Yes, people donate a tree, and then you bid on it, and it generates money for Caritingi. So
is it? Oh, that's where the trees are already decorated.
The trees are decorated, ready to go. It's a beautiful display, and they're available to bid on through the 17th of December. So
wow! Yeah.
Even if you're not quite ready to bid on one, go visit and take a look at it. Yeah. It's a real neat exhibit.
Yeah.
Caritingi is just a group that's near and dear to me.
Yeah, it's very special. It's a very special and unique thing that we have here in Albuquerque. I see Chief Ortiz has joined us. I just wanted to give him a shout out and see if there's anything he needed to update us with, or does he need help with his shopping? What are you doing there, Chief?
Fortunately, someone takes care of all that for me. My wife takes care of checking all those boxes, so I'm okay. But no major updates from us. I think what I covered in the last meeting is that we still have our outside fire truck program. It's Fast Attack 1, which is operating out of Station 3 right now. They're assigned on 24-hour shifts, 7 days a week, multiple crews to just address outside fires, predominantly along the southeast corridor, but they're also dipping down into some areas of downtown where outside fires have posed a problem. So they're putting out those fires proactively and then upon dispatch. So as of right now, they're still the busiest truck in the country right now, just based on the volume that they're running. And that program will continue through April. And then if anybody has any questions or concerns, they can feel free to reach out to me. But aside from that, no other updates from fire.
All right, thanks, Chief. And just out of curiosity, how many of those calls has that truck answered since you put it into service?
They typically, on average, about 45 to 60 calls per day. I think at the last look, since they first went live, they're well over 3,000 calls for service. So pretty busy. It's pretty nonstop. And the other part is that's just the calls are dispatched too. So a lot of times on the way back from a call or to a call, they'll extinguish 4 or 5 additional fires that are outdoors. So it's staying pretty busy, but making an impact in the areas that it's serving.
Great. That's I'm glad they're out there doing that. Again, a lot of those fires end up in buildings or places where they can get much worse, and we don't want that. Thanks, Chief. I'm looking for Commander. He's not there yet, so let's go ahead and I guess we're just going to move into our conversation about the consulate and the services that you offer. You had mentioned how many you have numerous locations in the state of New Mexico, but are there other consulates in the United States?
Yes, thank you for the question. So there are 53 Mexican consulates in the United States. We are the largest consular network that one country, any country in the world, has within another country. And that responds, of course, to the high amount of Mexican nationals and Mexican origin people living here.
Yeah.
Close to 37 million, like in all the US.
Oh, wow.
37 million, first, second, third generation. So a Mexican national who came here with their parents or the kids of immigrants, any generation, that amounts for 37 million. And that's the reason why there are so many consulates.
Right.
We are the New Mexico, proudly serving New Mexico and Northwest Texas.
Fabulous. Well, I mean, now that the election is behind us, I guess it's safe to say that we will continue to be a sanctuary city. And that status, you know, it's something that I am very proud of with Albuquerque. But that still sort of makes our community somewhat of a target going forward. So what, do you have concerns? Do you have issues that have come to the forefront for you to prepare for the new year, to prepare for some of the obstacles coming forward?
Yes, so we are all the time getting out the information to our community. First of all, you mentioned something very important. We are part of an immigrant-friendly community, and we feel proud and thankful for that. So the first thing we do with our community is expressing that, spreading the word, and sharing with the people that the city and law enforcement is different from immigration authorities, for example. If they are victims of a crime, they are safe to report, they are not going to be reported to immigration. So all that part, it's important to remind our community, and that's what we do all the time. But like, let's say besides that, what we always battle is the fear in the community, because there is and there has been a constant fear since the beginning of these years, and in many other times, where the community is afraid, where the community do not want to go to work or do not want to take children to school. So our job mainly is to inform. This first thing, we are in an immigrant-friendly city, it's safe to go out, but also in case you get in contact with law enforcement, or in case you get in contact with ICE or with immigration authorities, okay, you're going to go through a process, but there's the consulate, and there's all the assistance we can provide.
Right, and you know, the question of due process keeps coming up, and you know, I'd mentioned the statement that I hear in New Mexico quite often: we didn't cross the border crossed us. There's a rich blending of the communities here that I would really hate to see, you know, be affected by these changes. So, do you want to join us? All right, come on in. This is Leo here, and he's going to get situated. And I was glad Leo was able to make it and find the place.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Indeed, indeed. Well, yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. I had started a brief conversation with Patricia here, but I wanted to give you a chance to let everyone know who you are.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm Leonado Castañeda. I'm the director of the Office of New Americans at the Department of Workforce Solutions. So we're the office within the department that really lives at that intersection of workforce and labor and immigration issues. We know that immigrants are 1 in 8 workers in the state, so it's a huge part of our workforce, huge part of our economy, and so we're there to make sure that that the department understands their needs and that we're communicating the services that we provide, the resources that we offer to that community as well.
Well, I am glad you're able to join us. In fact,
you.
I have the Workforce Solutions website up there.
Oh, great.
And I wanted to be able to direct people to specifically to your Office of New Americans, but I wasn't able to find it on the website.
Yeah, we're so new. We're not even on the website yet. Yeah.
Well, I thought I saw it before, so I just wanted to be able to direct people to the information.
Yeah. No, we're still new. We're still getting there.
Okay. But as you see, I do have the website up for Workforce Solutions, and a lot of the different. There's a lot of resources there for people, New Mexicans. So I just wanted to make sure people knew where to find that, and. I guess, so tell me more about what it is you actually do, since this is a new office.
Yeah, totally. So a lot of what I do is helping our department build relationships, like with our friends at the Mexican consulate, and really make sure that people know what services we offer. The Department of Workforce Solutions is in charge of enforcing labor law for the state, and so we are the agency in the state. Folks can go to the federal government as well, but we're the state agency that if someone's a victim of wage theft, or if their New Mexico Healthy Act, so paid sick leave rights are not respected, we're the ones that enforce that. And we also enforce the New Mexico Human Rights Act. So that prohibits discrimination at work, public accommodations, etc.
Yeah.
And so we are the ones that, so a lot of what I do, a lot of what my office does is making sure folks know that. Making sure folks know that this is a resource. Immigrant communities tend to be disproportionately victims to labor law violations. You know, sometimes they don't know. Sometimes people think that that makes them easier to exploit, or they have language barriers that makes it hard for them to know exactly what their rights are in certain situations, or where to go. Or sometimes they come and, you know, maybe they don't feel comfortable explaining what happened to them in English. So making sure that they know that they have a right to interpretation, to translation services, to file a claim in their preferred language, to go through that process and have their rights respected. So a lot of what I do is making sure folks in the community are aware of that as well.
I mean, before you would arrive, Patricia had mentioned the fear that a lot of this is generated in the community. So and one thing that we point out here quite often, people have their issues with the unhoused, people have their issues with immigration, but those groups of people tend to be victimized far more than they're the perpetrators. And even thinking of, you know, discrimination and the things that occur here, how does it, if a person feels they're being discriminated or affected by some of these factors at work, how would they go about contacting you?
Totally. So they can go to our website and they can look for worker rights, and they can go to the Human Rights Bureau, and they can file a discrimination complaint. So New Mexico prohibits discrimination on a broad range of categories, including gender, race, ethnicity, and national origin. And so that has to do with a lot of the immigration status questions fall under national origin. And so folks can go on there and file a claim. It does have to be within 300 days of the incident. So it's important for people to know, like, this is a right that you have. And if you think that your rights might have been violated, you might have been a victim of discrimination at work or in housing or other situations, file a claim, reach out, and give us a call.
Okay. And how do you sort of work with the consulate to sort of help reach the people that are being affected?
Yeah. Well, the consulate is such a wonderful resource, as you know. And so a lot of the times when people are victims to wage theft, that's the first person they go to is the consulate. That's the first place they go, because that's where they feel safe. They feel like they can talk to someone who's going to understand their situation and is going to help them out. And because we have a great relationship, they call us and we work with those workers to help get them file a claim, even if it's at the consulate's office, you know, where folks feel comfortable. If they need help filling out a claim in a different language, or if they have questions about it, you know, it can be a complicated process. We ask questions in that form, like, how much money do you think that you have lost? And it's not like your employer gives you, you know, here's your pay stub, and also here's the receipt for all the money that I didn't pay you. And so, you know, sometimes people want to ask those questions. We often get questions about reprisals, right? People have a lot of fear around reprisals, and so we can talk to them about prohibitions that exists against that in the law.
Well, because I know there are a lot of industries here that sort of try to take advantage of that workforce.
Sure.
I would imagine construction and restaurants. Are there other industries that you feel tend to, you have to keep an eye on? I'm not necessarily going to say they
Sure.
victimize people, but where the factors are ripe for that kind of abuse.
Yeah, I mean, I really think it's across the board. I think employers often want to do the right thing, and there's definitely employers who are bad actors who take advantage of a situation where they see workers where they feel like, well, who's going to know? Who are they going to tell?
Right.
Maybe they're worried about their immigration status, or they have family members who have a more uncertain immigration status, and so they say, well, they're not going to. I know the Albuquerque Police Department struggles with the same issue with getting folks to report incidences, and so. Industries that have a large percentage of immigrants, of new Americans, are the ones that we keep an eye out. So, like you said, construction, hospitality, hotels, restaurants, agriculture, right? Our chili fields are hugely dependent on a lot of Mexican workers who come seasonally through visas, who live here and work in agriculture year-round, or who travel from state to state. And that can also be a challenge, and that's why the consulate is also such a big ally, because even if they leave our region, sometimes they're often still in our Albuquerque consulate's region, or even if they go to a different state, we know that there's consulates that will help pick up and continue the conversation with those workers.
And could you elaborate on that too? I mean, I know historically there have been those communities that come across and help with a lot of the agricultural work. Totally. Have the rules changed for that? Because in the past, I know America has been open-armed, and then we close off, and then we're like hungry, so we open our arms again. And so there is sort of, we're coming to this point where we need those people to be part of our community, and yet these rules are changing. What is sort of the situation with migrant working now?
Yeah, there's a broad range of ways that people are here working. Some are residents, and they live in Deming and Hatch or wherever it may be, and are immigrants but are permanent immigrants and live here and live in those communities and work those seasons and work different fields and different seasons, and they might even sort of become migrant farm workers, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're immigrants, but that they follow different harvests throughout the year. That's a big one. A lot of folks come through the H-2A visa program, so that's a temporary agricultural permit. And the way that works is employers have to request with us and with the federal government. They say we need X number of workers, and they have a requirement to hire anyone that comes before they can get a foreign-born worker. And very few people do, as you can imagine. Yeah. So often they bring in H-2A workers. A lot of them from Mexico. A lot of them who have. There's farmers that have had an employment relationship with workers in Chiapas, in Guerrero, in Michoacán for 15, 20 years. They hire the same folks, and they say they know what they're doing. They know how to do it right. They know, our community, the produce, chili, onion. They all have a very different way of being harvested. And so there's folks who've been doing the H-2A program for years and years and have a really strong relationship. And then there's others. There's, U.S. citizens, U.S.-born citizens who live in Mexico, and they come for certain harvests. We have the TN visa, which is an outgrowth of the NAFTA negotiations, which is a visa for Mexican-Canadian nationals to come in and work certain industries for a period of time. And so it's a whole mixed bag.
Yeah. And for you yourself, how long have you been doing this work?
Yeah, I've been at the department about a year. I've been working in immigration issues in New Mexico for about a little over 4 years. And so I'm always still learning.
Indeed. And how about you, Patricia? The relationship with the Department of Workforce Solutions, are there special things that they're able to do for you, for the consulate, that help you make life easier for the people that are contacting you?
Yes, everything. So as Leo mentioned, we are the advantage of the consulate is trust. People see in the consulate trust, people see in the consulate their own country, so they approach to us, they do their complaints, and then we call the ones who do the magic, and that is Leo and his team. He speaks perfect Spanish, some of their team, so we are able to refer them to the agency, or they are able to come to the consulate and fill all those complaints and have like a broader assistance. So they take care of the labor part, while there could also be an immigration part of it that a lawyer can also come to the consulate. So we try to be the one-stop shop where the people can come, and one of our main partner agencies is, of course, Workforce Solutions.
Okay, and so both of you have attorneys that are available to help sort of solve some of these problems, or?
We have a broad program of attorneys that can solve any, like from immigration, criminal, but that labor part is what they solve.
Right.
What I was referring is that some of those cases, when people are victim of one of the labor theft cases, they could qualify for other immigration remedies. So Workforce does their part, and then other partners in the community, such as lawyer or other organizations, may do another.
Right, and going back to that sort of victimization, I imagine it's, if they're being victimized in pay, there's probably several other factors that are affecting their ability to just have a quality of life here.
That's correct, and indeed we've had some broader cases in the past that involve groups of people we've interviewed and that have been victims not only of wage theft but of ill treatment by their employers, threats for them, for their families, for their children. So there are like broader cases, and we try to take care of all of those.
And even just not too long ago, I just recall one of the cases that I recall that actually had to do with sort of trafficking of people from China that were working in the cannabis fields for somebody. And do you see things where people actually are being trafficked as well? I understand people are coming here at their own will, but I imagine there's also a group of people that you encounter in both organizations that are victims that are being brought here for work.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something that happens, and sometimes, folks can be victims of labor trafficking, even if they came here with a visa of their own volition. They get in an employment situation where they can become victims of trafficking, especially, again, if they're not as familiar with, even US-born folks are often not as familiar with their labor rights as they could be. And that's a big part of what we do, right, is that public education for everyone. And so they can find themselves in situations where maybe they came here on a visa and then their employer takes away their passports and takes away their visas and limits their ability to go back home. They came here voluntarily through a process, and now they're stuck and they can't leave, and they become. So, sometimes some of those cases, then we need to contact our law enforcement partners. Because that becomes a little bit more of a challenge than purely I didn't get paid on time, or they took a deduction that they shouldn't have, or things like that. That can become a little bit more of a complicated process. But that's certainly something that does happen occasionally.
Yeah, well, and again, this idea that we're an at-will work state sort of means that a lot of times employers can fire you or treat you a little poorly, and even for someone who is a citizen here, you don't really feel like you have any avenue to sort of pursue them when you're mistreated. So I imagine a lot of these individuals are going back to that fear, afraid to even make that step.
Right. Yeah, and they're worried that if they report and they work in a certain industry, then they're not going to get hired in that industry again, right? And so we understand that, and we try to address their concerns, and that's when we rely. I think we all rely on our partners for a broad range of things. None of us in this space can do everything, and so we're always in communication with each other and saying, like, hey, where can the consulate plug in? Where can our community-based organization partners plug in? Where can we as state agencies plug in? And sometimes it's us, sometimes it's other partner agencies as well. And so it really takes all of us, because like I said, it's a very, very complicated process. There's a problem. It's usually people are, we get referrals from the consulate all the time where someone came in because they didn't get paid, and then we started having a conversation and say, I think you're a victim of Human Rights Act violations as well. And, oh, you tried to take sick time and they didn't let you? Well, then you were a victim of sick time violation. And actually you have all three, and, you know, you should talk to the consulate because there might be a labor visa process or humanitarian visa process that you're now eligible for based on what happened to you. And so...
Well, and then my question is, what happens to those bad actors? Someone files a complaint, you know, is it more than shaking a finger at them or getting the wages for that individual? Sure. Like, are there any other penalties or standards that you can hold some of these businesses to that are taking advantage of these people?
Yeah. Our work is a civil process, so there can be penalties assessed on certain violations, and I'm not the expert on when those and how and to what degree, and a lot of the times, you know, a lot of cases get resolved through mediation. A lot of employers want to do the right thing, want to do right by their workers, and once they realize, okay, there's an issue here, and it gets brought up to attention, and there's a process that says, well, this is the law, this is what happened, let's find an arrangement. A lot of times that resolves things. And so there can be punitive penalties. With visa specifically, there is a process. It's more governed primarily by the federal government. We have a small piece of it, but there is a process where an employer can be disallowed from being a participant in the H-2A visa process. Again, that's more on the federal side, generally speaking. And
on our end, what we do is we are the liaison with all these agencies that take part of the different parts of the process. So most likely a possible trafficking case would have the labor part, but we would also contact the district attorney's office or the FBI. We've had a few cases that are potential trafficking, and other partners in the community come, law enforcement. Our job is to let them know, like, here's a potential case, and then to follow up. So they do all the follow-up, and they give us feedback or tell us how the case is evolving.
Okay, yeah, well, and I sort of just imagined a list of these bad actors again, or just warning people to stay away from certain businesses.
And there's another thing that I consider it's important, because it has happened in most of our cases. There's the statute of limitations. There's certain time there's certain time that people has to submit a complaint. And unfortunately, most of the cases we get that could have been great cases do it after the time. So that is as well an invitation to the community, and I assume it's all the time the same with you, to report on time. Because if not, even if you were the victim, there's most of the times nothing you can do about it.
And what is that time frame? Or is it weeks? Is it days? Is it months?
It varies depending on the violation. 2 years, I don't know, in case of labor.
In wage theft, it's 3 years. Discrimination, it's 300 days. I'm blanking on paid sick leave, but it's similar. So usually we want to encourage folks within 6 months if you can. And, you know, it can be challenging. A lot of the times people leave that situation and they don't want to think about it anymore. They've moved on. They've, you know, sort of cut their losses. And then a year later, they're like, okay, I've processed. I'm ready to start thinking about what happened. I would like to pursue some remedy. And sometimes it's 4 years later, and it's really heartbreaking when we have to say there's nothing we can do.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was hoping that was expecting a police officer to be joining us, but I don't see him popping up. But I wanted to sort of move on and ask some more questions of the consulate here. But I definitely appreciate you showing up, and it sounds like you stay pretty busy, is what I imagine.
I think we both do, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you were running around and had other meetings today. But so one of the questions here, like, can the consulate get someone out of jail if there's something going on? Related to these things, deal with and just intervene legally if someone sort of got caught up in this mess?
Sure, thank you. So our main job is to make sure that due process is conferred in any case involving a Mexican national. And that is one of the most common confusions our nationals get. For example, are you gonna, if we visit nationals in jail, are you gonna take me out of jail? No, I'm gonna make sure that you are going through the right process. Have your attorney visited you? Do you have a medical issue that has to be taken care of? Your court dates, contact with the family, everything is going as it should be. No violations, no excessive use of force, no, all the due process. No getting people out of jail. Right. So orientation in general and making sure they have right representation.
Okay. I see DC Rascon has joined us. I just want to give him a chance to say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jaime Rascon. I think some of you guys, I've met some of you guys. I'm a deputy commander here for the downtown district. Apologize for being a little bit late. I got called to the main police station right before this one. Anyways, so I'll just try to listen in and try to catch up.
Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah, so we had just started talking about sort of the interactions with law enforcement, and you had sort of we were talking about coming to the aid of people that have had issues in jail or otherwise. Let me see here. Are there, how about even, I imagine there are a lot of young people and children that get caught up. How about the parents? I imagine the parents that are here working and doing other stuff also have children. And are there any services and things that you can do for them?
For the children?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one important thing we do regarding children is we are in constant contact with CYFD for those children that are under the state custody with Mexican parents.
So children that are born here that have Mexican
parents. That's correct. Yeah. So we do all the follow-up in those processes. We also do it through the DIF, that is the CYFD in Mexico, that most of the times help with socioeconomic studies. The judges are seeing where is the kid going to be placed, so we help facilitate all that process so it's like the fastest possible. Or some people who is in jail that have their kids outside, right. So all those cases we take care of regarding children that are in immigration procedures. We make sure they have proper representation. Basically, that's what we do. And we also, something very important, we also provide the double nationality to the kids that were born here to a Mexican mother or father. And that is very important because if at some point they decide to go back to Mexico, they have everything ready to access school, health, and other programs. Sometimes, as they are already living here, parents do not register their kids, and they may have delays when we're going back to Mexico and trying to put them in school or health services or any other.
And it comes to mind like if someone was, a family member was sent back to Mexico, is there a way that you help connect them or make that, I imagine there are family members that get left here and then people are, have to go back. Is there a way that you're able to help them create, maintain that connection?
Yes, we have repatriation programs, especially for vulnerable people. And we also have, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have 53 offices here, but we also have in Mexico, in every municipality. So we put those in contact. And whenever a person is going to return, there are many services that our Mexican offices can provide. So basically, their main contact is Mexican immigration that will provide a great variety of services, including paying partially the bus to go back to Mexico. So we provide all that orientation on which are the institutions that help you in Mexico. But in case, for example, it's an injured Mexican national who needs transfer from a U.S. hospital to a Mexican hospital, we can take care of all those. We have all those contacts, and it's our job to make sure that the repatriation is safe and secure.
Okay, that's good. Well,
I will add, to that. Please. Also, we also enforce child labor law.
Oh, okay.
And so that governs where children can work, what hours they can work throughout the year, if they work at a store or various different industries. We regulate what kind of industries, and that's set by state and federal law. And we also do and that's an important right. Folks can get work permits for kids under 18 at their school or through us, and we can help them make sure that their kids, if they need to work, which we know it's a very common thing for a lot of families, that they're doing so in an industry that is safe and legal and aren't being exploited. And then we also do, this is less common, but we also do entertainment child permits, right? So if you ever see a kid in a movie, someone had to give that kid a permit to work, and someone had to ensure that that kid was meeting, was having their educational rights met as well. And so we do that too.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you mentioned CYFD, and what has been your experience working with law enforcement since I have Jaime here, and because we talked about initially just since these people are victimized, a lot of times they're afraid to report crime, they're afraid to even approach law enforcement when something is going on. What kind of experiences have you had dealing with law enforcement?
Our experience has been extraordinary, and it's not because Officer Rascon is in the program. Indeed, we have to thank APD and all the corporations because there's a great relation. We get consular notification all the time. And not only that, we get permission and we get invitation to go to their, I was recently, a couple of weeks ago, in the police academy, where new cadets are graduating, and they invite us to talk about the consular notifications, the programs we have. So that is a great and innovative way to bring the information we do to the new generations and to make sure that any contact that a Mexican national may have with law enforcement, they will have the right, they will know that the consulate is there and that any Mexican national has that right to contact us. So the relation is just excellent.
Well, and I noticed you had given me some cards before, but I know that at the police stations and the officers carry the cards and have these stickers.
And let me tell you, this is one of the best practices, and we are very thankful to APD and to all the local corporations that are using these. Many police corporations now in New Mexico and Northwest Texas that have our number in their patrols. So whenever there is a detention, a Mexican national, it says, llámanos si necesitas ayuda de tu consulado, ¿no? Si tienes la nacionalidad mexicana, puedes solicitar que se notifique a tu consulado. If you're a Mexican national, you have the right that you get notified your Mexican consulate. And there it is a 24/7 line that people may call. So I think this is one of the best resources, and I will tell you that not any corporation gives you that access. So we are really grateful, and that speaks a lot and very highly about local law enforcement and the way we collaborate and they treat our nationals with respect, making sure that their rights are respected.
And I did sort of add that number to the chat there in case anyone has an experience where they want to share that information. But like I said, I actually have seen the cards at different substations. And Jaime, what have your experiences been, or can you sort of add to that conversation about how officers sort of deal with these situations?
You know what? I thank you for this, for putting on this topic in today's Echo. I think it's very important. Just share the message, with the followers, especially here downtown, that might not be very familiar with the processes of the Mexican consulate, and sometimes with the practices of the police department as well. I want to say that fortunately I do not have any bad experiences to share. I think we're lucky, and I think our officers are well versed and informed with our policies and practices. I haven't heard anything negatively, and at the same time, especially before I got here to downtown, I was assigned to the Southwest, where we have a great number of Mexican nationals, and in conversations with the officers down there, no one has ever complained that they were afraid calling the police department because they were afraid of calling or afraid of getting deported. And at the same time, like I'll take this opportunity, to say it again. Even though it was a little bit more, it was a hotter topic at the beginning of the year, but the police department, doesn't ask individuals about their immigration statuses, and at the end, and then we don't assist or facilitate the enforcement of federal immigration laws. At the same time, we don't impede as well. We don't conceal anyone. If we have the feeling that they might be illegally in the United States, right? We're still going to let federal law enforcement do their job, but without a signed warrant, we're not going to cooperate with them. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Well, and so what are some examples of the most common cases that either of you deal with, as far as the difficulties that people are experiencing? I mean, I imagine, there's a variety of things just because of the new federal regulations, but I imagine there's a pattern of things that you deal with, and what would be the most common example?
Well, in our case, we have a lot of people who want legal assistance and benefit from our free consultations. Mm-hmm. So all days we have people coming to the consulate to schedule a free consultation in an immigration matter, for example, and that is higher. We see an increase in that service because many people may have many undocumented people may have a way to regularize their immigration situation, and it's now the time when they do it. So in immigration, in civil, or in any other consultation. We also have other common cases where, for example, family members who their loved ones die and they want to take them back to Mexico, and that is another service we provide, like transfer with all the paperwork, with part of economic assistance of these people going back to Mexico, locating family if they have people lost or people detained or people in jail. We have all the databases and the communication with law enforcement, so providing that information to the families. I would say those are some of the most common, besides all the documentation people come to our building.
Well, and I would imagine people wouldn't even be aware that they would have the right to take their loved one back. What other rights might they, I'm ignorant of, but what other of those rights do you feel people might not be aware of?
So we've talked about like the services we provide when people have an emergency, but there's a whole other areas of services at the consulate aimed for the people that are already living here that may benefit. For example, we have what we call Ventanilla de Salud, window of health, that provides orientation on many issues, health issues, prevention. We talk, for example, about cancer programs, how to prevent, how to get a free mammogram, how to all this orientation, community clinics. So it's taking care of your health, how to get vaccinated, or how to get those services at low or no cost. That is one. We also have a broad range of education services. We have an education window. So if you want to get higher education, if you want to get a scholarship, if you want to get any kind of orientation, where can you go? If you're undocumented, most of them do not know that after some years living here, like anybody can study here. So that orientation is provided at our education window. We have a financial window that assists you in how to open a business. And of course, for all these services, we partner with many agencies in the community. So how to open a business, how to, like many services in here. And also, if you were in Mexico at some point working and you have a savings fund there or your retirement plan there, our window also helps you to get all the information that you have, all your savings back in Mexico. So it's a double orientation. in Mexico and in the US. And all those are services aimed not only to take our community out of the main emergency, but to empower them, to provide them all these resources, because we are foreigners, we are people in another country living, trying to go through different systems, new system, a health system, an economic system. I don't know how to open a bank account, so it's providing all that orientation and make them feel home.
Yeah, well, I've lived here and I still don't. I still need help with a lot of that stuff. But I brought up the website here just to sort of give an overview of some of the services. Is there, when someone comes to this site, is there anything you would like to sort of point out or show them?
Yes, so there's the documentation. There is the, so the consulate services for the Mexican people. If you go there, the consular appointments, this is just for documents. Services for Mexican people, if you go.
Click on that?
Yes, please. Yeah, so that explains you all the voter ID, education, what I was talking about, community engagement, how to get the birth certificate, the dual nationality, repatriation of remains, so all those services. And if you go back. Because there's another super interesting that we haven't talked about, Gateway Mexico, investment and trade. And we talked that there are services also for non-Mexicans living here. So any people wanting to do business with Mexico, why investing in Mexico? And if you go, it gives you like all our statistics, why are we a good country to invest in, and all this information intended for people wanting to know more about our country. And if you go back, I think there's also the emergency.
Go back?
Yes, please.
There we go. Or let me see here. Trying to navigate several things here. What? There.
Yeah, so there's the emergencies.
I'm having some slow internet here.
Yeah, and it just should display our emergency number. I would say it's the best number to reach us. Even if it's not the right one, they will direct to the appropriate one. So you have emergencies. Also an emergency was any natural disaster, ruidoso, recent floodings where many people was affected. Our emergency line was the way in which most of them contact us and told us, I lost everything. We have some resources and specific economic aids for those people who go through any of these emergencies or natural disasters. So yes, there are many things to navigate there, but I would say that is the best resource, the website, the social media from our consulate, where we publish all the events we do. We do a lot of cultural things, the Dia de Muertos, Independence Day, celebrations, so it's good that our community comes and has.
So that's your Facebook page and Instagram, and what other social
We have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have X, Instagram, all of them.
All of it, okay.
And all of them are in the website. The website, the best resource. Yeah.
Very good. Well, there. I was waiting for the emergency number to pop up here, but I can add this. Here are the numbers here.
Yes. So that is the first two. The CIAM is a call center that serves all the U.S. And then the second one is the Mexican consulate. So if you dial any of those, the 520 or the 505, they will take you to the same place.
And that's the same number that we put in the chat earlier. Okay,
that is
that's
correct.
Good to know. All right. Let me see. I can open up the conversation to some questions. Does anybody on the call have any questions about what we've been discussing, or questions for the consulate or Leo here? You can shout them out or chat. No? Come on. Yeah. Beatrice?
I don't have a question, but is something that I want to compliment. Our office at the City of Albuquerque has the best partnership with the Mexican consulate and with Leo at the Office of New Americans. And a difference that other cities and other states. The collaboration between agencies that are in government, non-profit, faith community, businesses, we are very much in collaboration, and we are very grateful and fortunate to have a Consul Patricia Pinzón with the Mexican consulate in Albuquerque, and also Leonardo at the state level. So I just want to say that because in other states that doesn't happen. And we are fortunate that we work together in a way that is very much an example of how other topics should be speak to be able to bring the best results. So thank you so much, Consul and Leo, and and also the ECHO program for having this conversation that is so much important.
Thank you so much, Beatriz. You are such a great representative of the city of Albuquerque, and it is great, as you mentioned, that we partner all the time. We go together to community forums, and I think it is the way to inform the community.
Well, and then it brings up the other question. I'm like I said, I'm proud of what we sort of stand for here in New Mexico, but since you have consulates other places, where are places that this relationship is a little more difficult? Do you have examples of where we're talking about all the positive things that we're trying to do here? Well, I could imagine some of the bigger cities, examples of things that have made this relationship difficult, or other obstacles you have to overcome.
Well, I would say that in other states, relations are good as they are in New Mexico. The difference is that laws may be not as good as those that are in New Mexico. So non-immigrant friendly communities where there's a whole other story, but our job is the same, to inform the community and to let them know, well, if you do not have this, you may go through this situation. And but the relation with law enforcement, I would say it is one very important thing is that law enforcement in any place, in my experience that I've been in some other states, they honor the consulates and all the international law and all the laws that are beside it. So I would say that is a good one, and that helps us in this collaboration that is also for the good of the institutions of the law enforcement organization, because most of the times we are helpful to them. If they have a question on, okay, I have this birth certificate or this ID, if it's a false document, we collaborate also in exchange of information, in mutual training, in showing them, okay, this is our consular card, it has all these security matters, because we are partners. We also teach our nationals to comply with the law. So I would say relations may turn difficult because how the law is provided in some states, but not because of the relations we have with law enforcement.
That's good to know. But well, I imagine maybe you have to do a little more education of the community at large in these places, or do you have outreach that you're able to do?
Yes, we do outreach in any place. Maybe the most complicated thing in those parts is that, of course, if you have massive deportations, you have massive tragedies, you are dealing with people who is in constant pain, and that is also a tragedy in itself. You know, you are talking about families being separated, children. So, but that's the job of a consulate, to assist their nationals.
And even, you know, I think of all the other, you know, nations, Spanish-speaking nations. If someone's from Venezuela or Honduras or somewhere else, are there avenues for them in the same way? I mean, I imagine, again, the relationship with Mexico is very special because we're neighbors and share so much culturally, but do other people end up speaking to you, looking for that help from other countries?
Yes, and we try to refer them to their consulate, and most of those consuls also visit us. There are many consulates that have jurisdiction in New Mexico, even if they are not based in New Mexico. So Guatemala, for example, Guatemalan consulate is based in Phoenix, with jurisdiction over New Mexico. So the consul general visits with certain frequency, does their mobile activities, provides documentation, and we try to collaborate to promote his information and to refer nationals. Whenever there's a case with a Guatemalan citizen, we refer them, and same thing with Colombia and with other countries.
Okay, so that's good to know. Anybody, if they don't have somewhere to go, they can at least have a place to start.
Yes,
with
of
the
course.
Okay, that's good to know. I was looking for other questions. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jay.
So a little background. I grew up in Western New York State. Now we're east of Buffalo. Dairy farming community. Very proud to say we're now 5 generations. But I remember when I was 5 years old that we had seasonal migrants that came and they were harvesting beans. You did it with forks before all the automation and stuff like that. So there's this kind of nature in the country right now where immigrants are getting a bad name without people really know who immigrants are, their background, and everything going on. So, and I haven't had a chance to research it. So everybody goes, well, why don't they just do things legally? So, but I believe that the path that they have, it's difficult, a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, to do the correct things that go on. So in general, what is the legal path for immigrants, coming in? So let's say take seasonal migrant workers, and also if you have a seasonal migrant worker in this district, if they move to another district out of state, do they have to file with another district as they move around the country?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So it depends a lot, right? So most folks that are coming in to be seasonal farm workers, like I said, are on H-2A visas, and so that has been the long-standing seasonal farm worker visa. And so the way that one works, if there are limits on the ability, it is not so much about changing districts, but changing employers is where it gets complicated because it's an employer-sponsored visa, and so folks can change employers, but there has to be an opening, there has to be a visa request, and then they have to apply to transfer. They have to basically file with us and with the federal government to say, I'm changing employers for whatever reason. Those employers, while those workers are here, have obligations to provide housing that meets OSHA standards, and we have some oversight of that. Federal government has oversight of that as well. They have to either ensure that they have access to cooking space, which I think we maybe often take for granted, but if you're in a very rural community and if you're in housing that's out in the fields, and it has to have cooking equipment, or they have to be provided 3 hot meals a day, things like that. And so that is one of the challenges. For example, with dairy, like you were talking about, they bring in, employers bring in workers for the season, and they'll work part of the time in eastern New Mexico. They'll go to Texas for part of the time. And there are supposed to be regulations on how much they're supposed to be paid. There's rules around how much of their food can be deducted from their pay, certain things like that. And so that does make it hard if they are moving around, right? Because along with, and like the council, we do a lot of providing information, right? The first step to everything that we do is education and providing information, because if folks don't know what their rights are, then they're not even going to begin to file a complaint or to advocate for them. And so it makes it hard if people are moving around for us to provide information. If we have H-2A workers here and they go to Texas, we have to wait for them to come back to make sure that they have the information in New Mexico, or hope that it's the responsibility on enforcement gets a little complicated for folks who are changing states in multiple work sites, because if they filed here originally, then they're sort of New Mexico H-2A visas. And so that makes it really challenging. A lot of the times it's sort of, they're going to be working for this employer, and that employer might have multiple fields in different areas, and so we need to know all the work sites, and then we have to find them, right? If you've been in a rural community, it's not like a lot of these fields have easily identifiable addresses, and so we have a really incredible, dedicated team that has really strong relationships, and they know the farms, they know the workers, they know the seasonality, right? So for example, in the summer here, you're harvesting onions. If you're like, well, I'm gonna catch the workers at their lunch break, I'm gonna go out on the field at noon, those workers are done. They worked 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. before it got to be 115 degrees in Deming. And so they have a really strong understanding and really strong relationships with law enforcement, with community partners, and with farm employers and farm workers themselves as well.
So let's say if someone works various seasonal jobs, can they be in the U.S. for an entire year as long as they're doing their visas with each of the employers?
H-2A, I believe, can be up to 12 months, but there has to be a seasonality to the job. And so they would still have to return to their country of origin before they could initiate. They couldn't sort of hopscotch from employer to employer and turn it into a 5-year visa, kind of jumping around. They do have to return. And actually, again, that's a requirement. The employer is responsible for providing transportation to and from their home in whatever their country is.
And also, what is a green card?
Yeah, that's a great question. So green cards are the actual proof that you get that you're what's called a lawful permanent resident, which is a specific status that one can have. And lawful permanent residents have most of the rights of a U.S. citizen except for voting and certain other restrictions. Green card status, lawful permanent resident status doesn't expire. The green cards do expire, and you do get a card, and it is green. And it's essentially the highest level before citizenship of an immigrant, someone who has gone through an entire vetting process. And how people become green card holders, varies. Sometimes it's through a family member, through marriage. Sometimes people come here on a work visa and then apply for a green card. That can take years. These processes, I think that's something that is important for folks to know, is that it can take someone 15, 20 years to get a green card, whether they're in the US on some other status and applying, or from abroad. It can be very, very complicated.
Yeah, because you hear the frustration, a lot of people out there saying, well, why don't they just become a U.S. citizen? And like you say, the path and the number of years that it can take, it's not that easy, to do that. It doesn't happen overnight, or it doesn't happen, in a year with it.
Yeah, certainly. And a lot of these, a lot of work-based visas do present certain challenges for that, because to give you an example, J1 visas are a very common visa for residents and doctors. And so those can vary in length, 5 to 7 years, but they usually have a pretty strict 2-year return policy. So you have to, at the conclusion, return 2 years to your country of origin. And so we have folks who we're bringing in, we're hiring, we train them, they work here, they're amazing, we love them, employers want to keep them, and the government says, no, sorry, their visa's over and they have to go back. And and people say, well, can they become a green card holder? And often there's not a direct pathway. And so it's often, it's something that people, sometimes they come here and they say, well, I'm going to work here for 3 years, 4 years on this specific project that I got hired for, and then I'll go back. And after those years, they're like, I want to stay. And the employer, their community wants them to stay. And finding a way for them to do that, it can be very, very challenging. And then, it's purely sort of how we structure our visa system.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
And if I may add to that, the H-2A has been a very successful program. And most of the workers that are returning after many years, even generations, because in our case there's a pumpkin patch in Farmington that our team visits to make sure that they have the rights and everything. And what they say is sometimes it comes the father and the son, like by many generations. And most of them do not want to stay here. They just want to come work. While they're here, they do consumption, they generate, they provide to the economy. So I think it's a win-win situation. It's a good example of a successful worker program. And if there were more opportunities like those in many areas, like more legal ways to come, I think, it's labor force, US needs it, Mexico provides it, so it's a win-win situation, and that is a very good example, the H-2A program.
Yeah, I always tell people no one would jump through all the hoops of H-2A if they could hire workers locally, or if they could hire workers that could do those jobs, but they're so hard.
Yeah, I remember historically the Bracero program and things in the past, and I just sort of again, it's sort of a moving target that's currently changing. What other things would you really want the immigrant community to know about this situation? Just sort of as the conversation has just flown by, and I definitely want to revisit this in the new year as things develop and we sort of see what happens here. But any last things that you really want the community to know about either of your organizations?
I would just take the opportunity to thank you and to let our community know that this shows that we are a strong community, that there are a lot of resources for nationals, that there are hotlines 24/7, and there are many resources for people who is in need, for people who may not be in need but want to do more, want to learn more, want to pursue higher education or other. So it's just, the resources are there, use them. That would be my best.
Good. And would you like to invite us to any events or anything you have coming on?
Yes, coming on, we have this Sunday, we have an event called Yo Creo en Pancho Claus. That is the Mexican or the Hispanic Santa Claus. We're going to be at the National Hispanic Cultural Center. It's a Mexican or a Hispanic Santa that speaks Spanish, that wears a zarape, you know. So kids identify because he speaks them in Spanish. He's going to give out toys. So the first invitation is to invite the community to come to the Pancho Claus this Sunday, 10 a.m., National Hispanic Cultural Center. The second is that we are working to that day. So we are collecting toys. We are a toy drive. Donate gifts at the Mexican Consulate, 8 to 5, Monday to Friday. We still have a few days, and our goal is to reach 1,000 toys. So hopefully we get your toys at the Mexican Consulate.
Thank you. Well, and then here's my own. So what if I wanted to go the other direction? If I wanted to go across the border and work and live over there, would you be a resource for me?
You definitely. If you want to go as a tourist, you need nothing. You are more than welcome. If you want to go to live, we can assist you in providing a visa and all the orientation. Many people who is retiring from the U.S. are going to live to Mexico, to the beautiful beaches, to the beautiful places my country has, and we provide all that orientation at the consulate.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mexico City is on my must-see list at some point. I mean, it's
best city in the world.
Yeah, I've just been fascinated by the art there and just the culture and everything. So eventually I may go and
please be our guest.
Yeah, I may not want to leave.
Can I just ask a question about funding? How is the consulate funded? How are your department funded?
How are we funded?
Yeah.
We are funded by the Mexican government, and the only 3 programs we have: an education, a health, and a financial orientation program, where we receive the funds and get an organization in the community that receives that fund and makes a matching fund. So those 3 are partially funded by local organization, but all our resources come from the Mexican government, from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
My office specifically is privately funded right now, but the department's the department's primarily federally funded. We do receive.
Is there a difference between Workforce Connection and Workforce Solutions?
So the Workforce Connection offices, which are now called the America's Job Centers, are sort of field offices where folks can go and walk in and say, I need help finding a job, I need help filing a wage theft complaint. And so those are sort of our frontline offices, and that staff is wonderful and does really, really incredible work helping folks walking off the street. The closest one to here is on Mountain Road, but folks can go online. We have more than 24 offices all around the state, and a lot of that is federally funded through various programs.
Is that also under the umbrella of the Mid-Region Council of Governments?
So you're getting into a question that is so confusing to me.
Jerry does. Yes, he'll do this. He'll do this all the time.
We have a relationship with Mr. Cog. Yes.
I retired from Mr. Cog.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a relationship with Mr. Cog. The exact structure of that and the exact sort of funding relationship to that, I have spent over a year trying to understand, and maybe in 2 or 3 more I will.
I can help you with that.
Yeah. But my office is currently privately funded through a foundation grant.
Well, and I was just looking for any other last questions or queries as we sort of wrap up here. I wasn't sure if Jaime or anyone from the mayor's office, anything, had any last things to say. I was just sort of given a moment. No one seems to be piping up. Oh, Jaime, there. Anything you want to end with?
No. I just appreciate the folks from the Mexican consulate. To they have joined us and everybody there, whoever else is there, and assist us with this echo session.
Thank you very much for coming and
Thank you.
sharing the information. And like I said, I definitely want to sort of see how things develop in the new year and revisit this conversation and try to get a little more specific about what's happening. And hopefully we'll be able to do that soon. And of course, Pancho Claus and everybody, if you have some toys to donate, please do. And
thank you for having us. And Beatriz, like Consul Pinzón mentioned earlier, is such a wonderful ally. So we're so appreciative of what the city does and what APD does in this area. It's so important.
Like I said, for me, the thing is the rich culture that we have here that's been generations. And I just feel like this energy has created fear and othering of people, and that's just not going to be healthy for us going forward. So I'm honored to have you here and to hear from both of you. So unless there's anything else, I want to thank everybody else for joining us. Again, register for the ECHO. I'll be sending out invitations for you to register and bugging some of you to make sure that I have plenty of participation in the new year. But please have a safe and wonderful holiday season and a happy new year. And our next ECHO won't be until the 22nd, I believe, of January, where we'll pick up with our year in review with Peter Rice from the Downtown Albuquerque News. And again, if you have questions, if you have cases or suggestions for anything that you want me to bring up in an ECHO, don't hesitate to reach out to my email. And again, everybody stay warm, enjoy your time with your family and friends, and I look forward to seeing you on these little boxes next year. And thank you. Thank
you so much.
Thank you for joining us. We welcome your suggestions regarding any scenario involving future public safety ECHO sessions. For more information, visit www.cabq.gov/ECHO.